TGIF. Hope you all have had a wonderful week. I know you are ready for the weekend to begin. So, welcome to the Just Ask Char advice channel. We will be getting started very soon. So get comfortable, get ready, and relax. We sincerely thank you all for your support. This channel is sponsored by you, the subscribers. When you want to hear another perspective for yourself or a friend, then just send an email for advice to JustAskChar@gmail.com. All right, we are ready to get this show started. Be sure to like, share, and subscribe. Tell a friend. There will always be a perspective or some advice that someone can benefit from and use. Now, here's your host of the show, Char Willie.
Greetings, TGIF everyone. Happy Friday. What is going on? How are you? Did you have a good week? Are you looking for the month of May? Have it just, slid past you and you're looking for it still? Well, I'm telling you, those 4 weeks just they kind of went away. I kept myself busy. I gave myself goals to reach for. Had a couple of days that it didn't work out for me. I didn't feel well, so couldn't do anything about those 2 days. But other than that, we got to make the most of what we have left. We have up to Tuesday, and then you know what it is. It's the first of the month. Cash your check and come on. Yeah, but I hope you guys had a great week. Hope things are going well for you. What do I have to tell you? Oh, the price of stamps are going up. No big deal for most people, is it? Probably not. Why? Because everything else is going up. And if everything else is going up, what do you care about a darn stamp? You don't. When I go to grocery store, everything has gone up in increments of 9 cents. When it was $2.50, it's $2.59. Or It went up 19 cents or 29 cents or 39 cents or 49 cents or 59 cents. Everything. That same item that you used to buy the other day, yes, it has increased. And we do have a donation here. So you know what we do. We make Sheed sing, don't we? Yes, we do. Thank you so much. I appreciate your contribution. Make Sheed sing. I love that tone, don't you? But thank you so much. I appreciate you. And also, what's happening is the temperature. I don't know where you are, but here in Chicago, I was trying not to turn my air conditioner on Monday and Tuesday. I'm like, no, I want to wait until June. It's too early. It's just too early. But I don't have to worry about that now because yesterday, I don't know what happened. And today, someone stole 50 degrees. Someone just stole it. They cut it in half. It was like almost 90. It was like 89 degrees. And now it's like 49, 48 degrees. I'm like, what? Who stole our temperatures? And we got rain and wind. And that was almost all day today. I had to pull out my big coat when I went to the store. Wasn't no spring jacket. Oh no. Put my hat on. I wasn't playing. And a lady teased me in one of the stores. She said, "Oh, you picked the big boy, didn't you?" I said, "That's right." I said, "I wasn't gonna, even though I'm not going far." We always tell ourselves, "Oh, I'm just going up the street," and that's when you end up getting sick. So I'm like, and I didn't know if I was gonna get caught in the rain or not either. So I'm like, we gonna put on the big boy. Yeah, but someone stole our temperatures. I don't know who it was. I'm looking for them. And if you do find them, would you please let me know? Because I want to have a little talk with them. I'm not going to be, violent or anything like that. Not going to be asking, for, you know, plain tits. No, nothing like that. It's not that serious. But I do want to know where those degrees went because someone stole them. And I need them back, at least 20 of them. My goodness. All up under the cover. I was shivering. I'm like, I literally had chills yesterday. I'm like, who did this? Who? It wasn't fair. I tell you, it wasn't fair. But, you know, it's Chicago. It is what it was. It was windy yesterday. I heard a window blow out. The person thought they were going to leave their window open for a little breeze. Oh, it was a breeze, all right. It flew away. And then on one of our Lakeshore Drive, a tree fell over. Just blocked the whole intersection up. People had to go around, had to try to clear the lane. Just been a mess with this wind and whoever stole the temperatures. How dare them? Yeah, so just a little idle chit chat as I do. That's how I do it. And we got our new introduction because can't play. Well, I'm not gonna say can't, but won't be playing until another week. So I'm gonna let Ruby enjoy it. So everyone, you know what to do. Stand up, raise your hands, give a big farewell, welcome, and cheers, and all those different things to the wonderful, the classic.
Stay down there, girl. Stay down there.
Yes, that's right.
Classic Ruby, everybody.
Every time. Don't get old. Does not get old, y'all. Stay down there, girl. Stay down there. It's just so desperate. Yo, I'm here for it. I'm here for it. TGIF for real. I mean, if only to hear the intro. TGIF. All right. Well, Shar, I gotta tell you, I know how you're feeling. You're feeling cold and disappointed. It rained,
Yes.
and then it snowed, and then it rained here. So I feel your disappointment, girl. I'm right here with you. Don't worry. Keep it
Ah,
together. Mm-hmm. Yep.
yeah. I think
Mm.
Don Teasy took it because he's not here. And I think he's the one that stole my 45, 50 degrees. I think it was him.
I do think it was Don Teasy that stole it. You know what? If anyone is that cold, it's Don Teasy. So yeah,
Hmm.
we're gonna have to blame him, 1,000%. Yep. He's not here to answer for himself. I think he's hiding. So,
Yeah, I think it's punishment for some of the music I played last week. But like I said, it's a large crowd. I mean, we have different countries listening to us, just not just
right.
a few cities. So I keep everyone in mind. And I don't know
Mhm.
what it is with Kenya. Kenya is really enjoying Keep the Beat. They really are. Those numbers are growing.
Well, then I'm very much enjoying Kenya, right? I mean, I don't know. I didn't know I enjoyed Kenya until you just gave me that information. But now that I have the information, I definitely am enjoying Kenya. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Yeah, so I really appreciate all those countries that listen to it because they don't have to. They can tune in one time and like, I want to listen to that. But they like our chemistry. They do. Hmm.
Aww, I like our chemistry too, Shar. Let's never leave each other. Okay. Mr. Ruby might have something to say about that. Like, hello, what about me? I'm right here. Yeah, you are right, but you know, Kenya doesn't like our chemistry, honey. So we're gonna have to move on.
Uh-uh.
Love you.
Well, tonight, because I'm not one to really talk about a lot of celebrity stuff. I don't know, just something happened. I used to keep up with everything, and I was on my way home from work. I was 25 years old. I was on the bus. I just will not forget this. On my way home, I got on the bus and I got me a nice window seat, pulled my magazine out. And while I was, flipping through it, I'm like, you know what? Why do I know more about these people than I need to? This means nothing to me. What why do I care who married who and who divorced? Why do I care about any of this? So after that, I just stopped reading those magazines and just stopped being interested. I'm like, that's too much. And then also, there's always his side, her side, and the truth. So that was part of it as well. Um, so even though I do have the screenshot or the thumbnail with what's going on, one reason was people know what's going on, and that is the topic about apologies. And then two, from Mr. Brown himself, he said, "Go ahead." He said, "Use my stuff. I don't care." But I'm not using it in the exact way that he meant. But we're going to
Right.
discuss apologies.
All right.
Yes.
I like it. I like it a lot. All right, let's do this.
So I'm going to play DeAndre's video. It's real short, and he's given his take on apology, which we all have that same idea, I'm pretty sure. But we're going to give some stories, and I'm sure some people have some. Uh-oh, they go Don Teasy. Uh-oh. So I'll be sure to give him a good story because he always teased me. So I'll
Mhm.
be sure to give him this particular story. But let me go ahead and share the screen and we'll play DeAndre's video here. Let's see. There he is. And yep, it's up. Okay.
Through they put their 2 cents in it. But I'm not going to talk about the situation directly with the details. You can probably came across your feed already. You should probably already know about it to a certain extent, and you probably already made your judgments. Whoever side that you're on, uh, and that's totally up to you. When a person asks for forgiveness or say that they're sorry or they're apologetic, it's not up to the person that was done wrong to accept your apology. When you do something to someone, their reaction isn't based on what you want. And what I mean by that, a lot of people, they ask for forgiveness because, in their own selfish reasons, most of the time, is to clear their own conscience. And if they get the proper response from the person, then their conscience is clear. And when you denigrate someone for a long period of time, that animosity, you can have all the conversations in the world, but they, your impressions or your relationship with that person, maybe can only work it to just being cordial. Cordial doesn't mean that we like each other, but cordial means that we don't take it past a certain step where it leads into physical or verbal escalation. Um, Everybody has a line. Kwame's really quiet, but he's kept his head down and did whatever he was doing. So if he doesn't forgive these people or don't accept their apology, he's in his right to do so. Now, where it goes from here, that's totally between those two parties. But what I wanted to say to people is when you do something to someone and they feel offended or you've hurt someone knowingly, unknowingly, um, egged on by the crowd, why were they able and allowed to do this? The people in question for 20 years you know since Kwame entered the NBA until and I think he left in 2013, and they still kept it. And it's 2021. Why are these people still able to do this? It's because they have an audience. The same people that are egging Kwame on to see blood in the arena was the same people that were egging these people on when they were denigrating um, this man's career and his life. We can do things. There are many things that are happening to people right at this very second that there's no audience, but it's even worse when there's an audience. You can't blame the man, or you can't blame the person, man, woman, or child, on how they react to them being hurt. It's a human emotion. Forgiveness is something that is left up to the person in whom you did wrong to, not up to you that want to be forgiven. And you have to find that within your own self. You have to put it out there. If it's the right thing to do, then it's the right thing to do, but you must accept it. The person doesn't have to accept it. That's all.
Amen, brother. Amen. Thank you so much for that, DeAndre. Thank you. Really appreciate that. And I agree. There are so many different things that happen to us in life. Some things are intentional and some things are unintentional. And I have not accepted apology for both. Um, what I normally do is find out the reason why someone does something. I've always been a why type of girl. And just for you, Don Teasy, I had a conversation with a guy and we were going to set up what we were going to do as far as relationship. And it was understood that we were going to be exclusive. We're going to date exclusively. However, it didn't turn out that way. And he did not like the outcome. I was not changing my mind. He apologized. He wrote letters. He did all kind of things. And he just couldn't understand that. He was sorry, so he said. He could have been more sorry that he was caught. I don't know. But it was up to me, being a receiver, if I wanted to accept the apology or not, and I chose not to. Don't hate the man or anything, wish him any bad things to happen to him, but it was my choice. I also have a situation where I had a friend that she I'll just say she called me stupid. It's the way she said it. There's no other way of saying it. She called me stupid. That's just it.
Mm.
And I almost dropped my phone. I literally almost dropped my phone. But at least I knew how she felt.
Right.
And it was because of a decision that I made that she disagreed with. It was my choice about my decision on what I wanted to do. She didn't think it was a good decision, so she thought I was stupid. I thought that was a bit extreme, but those were her words.
Mm.
And she has not given me an apology. She danced around it like it was going to go away, being extra nice, but that
Mm.
didn't work for me. And I just wasn't going to bring it up. And there's nothing I could do. I tried. It's nothing I was able to do. I just never looked at her the same. I don't know if how things would have changed if we had a conversation. I don't know. But we did not. And I didn't receive an apology. But knowing who I am, I would not have accepted it because my whole entire aura around her was different.
Yeah.
It was different. So more than likely I wasn't going to accept the apology. And that's something because that was a long friendship.
Mm-hmm.
Um and then the last thing I'll say, and I'll take it over to you, is there was here on YouTube, I actually witnessed where a guy wanted to know if it was worth him saying he was going to apologize. Because if not, he didn't want to apologize because he didn't think it would make a difference. I'm like, wow, okay. So it goes back for me the why. I always wonder why people apologize. Did you mean to do something? Did you not mean to do it? And we know some people, it can be both.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So would you have a story to share with us?
Well, I'll just tell y'all off the bat that I don't care about apologies. Like I legitimately don't care. The
Mhm,
words "I'm sorry" or saying "I'm sorry" don't mean anything to me. Like Mr. Ruby can tell you, and I do it a lot, right? And it seems kind of ignorant in the moment, right? Because for him, and I'll get into explaining this a little later, but for him, saying the words "I'm sorry" are part of his love languages, right? So there actually are apology languages, just like there are love languages. And,
mhm,
I'm sorry is big on his list. For me, it's not on my list at all. So he'll say I'm sorry and I'll say I don't care because I don't. I could not care less if you are sorry or if you're not sorry at all, if you regret it or if you don't. I don't care. Like it doesn't matter to me. You saying the words I'm sorry after the fact does
mhm,
nothing for me, right? It does things for other people. So I recognize the people that I'm with, and so if they require apologies, then I will give them one, right? But and again, I will give a totally honest one, so I can only apologize for what I'm sorry for. And I've definitely been in a situation where that's not good enough, but I'm not going to lie to you. And just to make you feel better, tell you I'm sorry for having an opinion that I'm not sorry about. I'm not sorry I have that opinion. That's still my opinion. But maybe I'm sorry for expressing it when I did, or the way I did, or I'm sorry that me expressing the opinion hurt you. But I'm not sorry I have the opinion. Some people don't deal with that well either. Um, but I want to go back to what I said, which are there are 5 apology languages. So there is the whole expressing regret, saying, I feel ashamed for how I hurt you, for example.
mhm,
Number 2 is accepting responsibility. That for me is a big one, right? Saying I was wrong, admitting you are wrong. What were you wrong for, and why was that wrong? That does more for me than the actual apology part. I could not care less that you are sorry. I just care that you recognize you are wrong. Um, Genuinely repent is number 3. Um, Number 4 is making restitution. This is how I'll make it up to you. And number 5 is, will you forgive me for letting you down? Requesting forgiveness, right? So for
Hmm.
me, and this is the thing, right? The accepting responsibility, taking accountability, recognizing that you are wrong, and making restitution. So now I'll explain, because for other people, making restitution is like, I don't know, maybe, because again, this will tie into your love languages, maybe buying them a gift, because that's a love language for them. You buying me flowers doesn't make up anything. For me, making restitution means if you are sorry, then I shouldn't see this behavior again in the future. That's it. Like, that's all I
Hmm.
want. You can't fix what you screwed up. You can't, because you already did it. So now it's over. If you forgot to pick up that really important thing from the store for me that I repeated 17 times and texted you as you were leaving work, and you forgot that you just didn't pick that up when you picked up other stuff at the store, and now I'm getting to it at midnight trying to get something done, and now I don't have it. I don't care that you're sorry. What does you being sorry change for me? Oh, nothing? Okay, well then I don't care. And there's nothing you can do to fix it. So I don't care. Next time, be more attentive. Next time, put all the pieces of the puzzle together. Not just that you got to run errands and whatever, but recognize how important that one thing is, because I told you, I expressed it to you. And then
Hmm.
next time when I express that something's very important, don't drop the ball on that. That's the only way. So I guess in essence with me, the only way you can show me that you're sorry is when we are in another situation in the future that's similar, you behave differently. That's it. So that's point 1 about me. Point 2 is, for the most part though, I don't take things like, there's very little that I would require any form of apology for the most part. Because for the most part, like, even if
Hmm.
you're, I guess, trying to do something or whatever, I just don't care. Right? Because you said what you said, you meant what you said, or maybe you didn't mean it. Maybe you're having a bad day. Maybe this, maybe that. I don't care overly much. So like, for me, there's very few times I've been in my life where I really, really required an apology of someone. And normally they have to be very close to me. I have to have maybe done a lot for this person, with this person. Our bond's supposed to be close. You're supposed to understand me. You're supposed to care about me. And then you do something that I find especially devastating and lasting, emotionally, mentally. In those cases, so like, I had a friend, and this
Hmm.
is like a long friendship. I think we've been friends now for 13 years. Um,
Okay.
so in the first couple few years of our friendship, like, we both used to go out drinking together all the time. And like I said, I'm an alcoholic. I've admitted this freely. So the thing was, is I was going through a particularly bad depression, which comes with anxiety and post-traumatic stress disorder and flashbacks and stuff for me. So it's normally a pretty tumultuous time. And basically, in essence, what happened is we were at this bar, and it was going to be a bad scene. So we ended up kind of leaving, and that triggered me. And then I started trying to drink away the anxiety, which was just making it worse. And then I was kind of in a blackout state. And I said some really not great things to her. I don't independently remember saying that.
Okay.
I still can't remember most of the night. Um, but like I said stuff about, like, just her being a stripper, the bad mother, and just all kinds of stuff. I just was just disparaging her, but I wasn't like yelling and screaming it. I was just saying it like matter of factly, right? Just like talking down about her, and I'm like one of her best friends and one of the only people she trusts, and blah blah blah. And I go and do this. So like the next day, she basically said, like, I want nothing to do with you. And I was like, okay, tell me what I did, which is terrible to start off a conversation like that. She told me, and I was just like, wow, I'm so sorry, and whatever. She's like, no, I understand that. And I know it's the alcohol, but I don't feel safe around you. So I don't want to,
Mm.
I don't want to know you. Okay. And so you fast forward like a year, and by then I've stopped drinking now, and I've started actually going to therapy again and a bunch of stuff. And so we reconnect, and it was kind of like, okay, I'll give you another chance, never drink again around me. Cool. Fine. I'm never going to drink anyway. So we're good. So now we're about 8 years down the line, and she actually starts abusing her pain medication. And so now we're in a role
Oh.
reversal. Yes, now we're in a role reversal. She is just getting worse and worse. She's terrifying to everyone. She's terrifying to her fiance. She's terrifying to her eldest daughter, who's like 14 at this time. Even the babies are scared. Like, she's just not acting rationally. She's not thinking rationally and whatever. And then she asked me basically to take her fiance out of her house, explain to him she really doesn't want to be with him. He needs to accept that. He needs to find somewhere else to live and whatever, because he just won't hear her. And so I said, okay, I'll do that for you. And this was like 7 o'clock in the morning. So I get all dressed. I go pick up her fiance. I told her, he said, you know what? There's that hole in my bathroom. He said he was going to fix the wall. So I'll bring him to go do that. She knows I live in a basement apartment. She knows that the reception down there is terrible. And so we know all of this. She said, okay, good. Just as long as he comes back with that understanding. Great. So now we come back to the house. It's like after the drive there and back and whatever, it's about an hour and a half, right? Okay. She starts screaming and yelling about how I'm a whore and I slept with her man and this and that and blah, blah, blah. And starts like
Oh.
throwing stuff in my car and all kinds of crazy stuff. And then putting it on Facebook and stuff that I'm a whore who slept with her man. And I'm like, what are you talking of? Like, are you serious? And so now she goes on this whole smear campaign and she's like out of her mind on drugs. I do understand that this is not her speaking, but I want nothing to do with you now, right? Like, this is not healthy for me. And eventually she actually goes into treatment. Um, and, she was on methadone for a while, found out she was pregnant while on methadone. So that was kind of her
Oh.
wake up call to never, ever go back. She found out she was pregnant when she was 6 months pregnant. Her belly was
Oh.
still flat and she was skinny as hell, 6 months pregnant. So that was the fine. I will never go back. So she doesn't touch anything. It's been like 6 years and whatever. But a few years pass, and then her daughter reaches out to me and says, hey, listen, you used to help my mom with math. Maybe you can help me. She said that I'm the only one that has ever helped her with math. And I said, listen, you and your mom, y'all are cool and everything, but me and your mom don't speak, and you know why, right? You know all the things that happened for those months and whatever, right? And she said, my mom's the one who told me to contact you. So I said, okay, fine. So, I ended up meeting up with the girl at a library, because I'm not going to this woman's house. I'm not talking to her still, right? Like, that's it. Like, and I and her daughter asked me, hey, listen, would you ever be my mom's friend again? And I said, listen, if she gives me an apology and admits that she was wrong, but she has
Mm-hmm.
to say the words, I'm sorry, yes. But since you know your mom, she doesn't give apologies. She doesn't. She just never apologizes for anything she ever does. And she does lots and she never apologizes. So that for me, that was like restitution. Her saying those words is bigger than anything she could do to make up for it. Because she'd rather do something to make up for it than say the words, I'm sorry. And I was wrong. Right. So I guess in this situation, the words I'm sorry would have meant a lot. And then shockingly, she came out of the blue one day and said, I'm sorry. I was on drugs and blah, 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 but that was so wrong. All you ever tried to do for me and my family is help and my daughter and blah, blah, blah. And I feel so bad for it. And I'm so sorry. And I was like, what? You're, you're what word?
Wow.
Yeah, like, yeah. And so that's how we ended up reestablishing our friendship, because she said the words I'm sorry. So like in that situation, the words I'm sorry meant a lot. But that's because she doesn't apologize to people. She doesn't use those words ever for any reason. So her apologizing to people is so difficult for her that her giving me an apology meant a lot. But
Yeah.
right? But like most people say the words I'm sorry a lot. And they're it's easier for them, right? Like it's not a foreign concept. So like I think that 2 or 3 times the words I'm sorry really meant something to me were from situations like that. A person who apologized to me, who never apologizes to anyone because the words are very difficult for them, or taking accountability is very difficult to them. But they had to apologize to me because that's how much my friendship with them meant to them. That they were going to tear themselves apart from the inside, but they were going to give me that apology, right?
I see.
So,
That's a good thing then.
right, exactly. But with the exception of that, you
Mm-hmm.
can apologize to me all you can say those words. I might not directly say it to you, like because we're not that close, so I won't feel like I don't care. But that's what I'm
Mm-hmm.
thinking as you're saying the words. I'll just be like, I'll let you finish. Be like, all right, nothing's changed now at this point. I'd have to see your future behavior to tell whether I hate you still or not. That's just what it is.
Okay.
Yeah.
I know someone who has a really bad relationship, mother and daughter, and I don't even know how they made it through. But the daughter is just looking for an apology from the mom, and the mom just doesn't care. And once the mom actually cared, the woman's life was darn near over with. So I'm just thinking to myself, I didn't say it to her, that she only doing that for herself. She's not doing it for you. And you do find those situations. I don't have anyone that I can think of that has happened to, for me. Most people, they either apologize, I don't accept it, or they don't apologize. They just tap dance around things.
Right.
Um, One guy, and it's for you, Don Teasy. One guy, I call him the nut. I mention him quite often because he likes to argue. And he called me, I don't know if it was a year later or whenever it was. I'll just say maybe a year, 2 years later after we broke up. And he was saying that um, he know he was wrong. He told his mother that I was right and something, something. And he's sorry and we should get together and go to the movies and everything. And I just listened to him. And once he got through, I'm like, oh, okay, take care. Because I wasn't accepting anything because he is the person that he was. I don't care that
Mm-hmm.
2 years went past. Why you calling me now? Why you didn't apologize at the time it happened or a little bit afterward?
Right.
Because when I broke up with him, I told him, I said, just because it's over, the money that you owe me, I still want that. Don't think that's the end of it. And he didn't believe me. And within about 60 days, yeah, about a good 60 days later, I was going to sue him and he didn't show up in court. And I gave him a chance. I said, it's up to you what you want to do. No,
Mm-hmm.
okay, and never showed up in court and ended up garnishing him. And I got my money and the judge told me, he leaned over the bench and he said, young lady, don't loan your money out. I said, okay, Your Honor, thank you. And I appreciate that wisdom. And I didn't do that anymore. And I'd like to
Yep.
welcome to the stage Shadra.
Hey, whole corner. What's up?
Hey, good evening, everyone. And I would like to drag this far deep into the AO corner
Naturally.
because, yeah, because do I have permission to do that?
Sure.
Okay, so I've realized that 90% of the time when people say sorry, they're lying through their teeth. They're not actually sorry.
True. True.
So when I was younger, I used to do taekwondo, right? And my taekwondo teacher, he would hold the pads, right? And there were times when I'd kick and I'd miss the pad, right? And then I hit his hand instead of the pad, and I'd say, "Oh, I'm sorry." And what he told me is words I've lived by ever since. He said, "Don't say sorry. Don't do it again."
Mm-hmm.
and then I kicked his hand again because I didn't raise my leg high enough, and I was on the floor doing push-ups. Because I said sorry and I was doing push-ups. Because the thing about it is, if you're really sorry about doing something that could potentially harm somebody else, you're going to make every effort to change your actions. You're going to do everything you can to make sure you don't do it again. If you actually care about that person. If you just, it's like if you bump into me in the hallway and just say sorry, you didn't really mean sorry. You're saying sorry to avoid me going in on your face. That's what that is. Or you're saying sorry to save your emotional trauma of the altercation that will occur next. They're not actually sorry. Most people don't think, oh, I may have actually hurt this person. No, they're saying sorry to diffuse the situation. And a lot of people will go so far as to say sorry when they don't even give a damn about what happened to that person. Oh, I'm sorry. Did that hurt you? Did I break your leg? Oh, I'm sorry. But you know,
Dang.
I think you're like, sorry about that.
yeah.
My bad. Wow.
But that's what I've realized about people. So when you tell me you're sorry, I look at you and say bullshit. If you were actually sorry, you're gonna make every effort to not do that again. And if you end up doing it again, even if it's out of habit, if I see that you didn't take proper actions, you're not actually sorry. You did. Let's say you bump into me in the hallway. You better be walking 3 feet away from me the next time you see me in the same hallway as you.
Right.
Yeah.
If not,
Yeah.
you're a repeat offender and you're gonna get your ass beat.
And then when it comes down to not accepting it, that other person, they don't really have a big say in it. They can
No,
try a different way, maybe, but that's not always going to be accepted either.
it
It's
doesn't.
just not. People can offer you flowers and sing your songs outside your door and sing your letters and all kind of stuff. When
The
I
worst. Go
Go
ahead.
ahead.
No, you go ahead. I apologize. I was interrupting you.
Oh, I was gonna say, I've received all those things and I just did not want to change my mind. And then with the nut, he at this time, that's why I said it's one of my favorite songs by R. Kelly. Maybe it's the favorite one. When a woman's fed up. I'm sorry, that song just meant something. It happened to be out at that time. I would have sang it to him, but I didn't. Go ahead.
Yeah. Now, see what I did there? I realized that I was interrupting you. Therefore, I went ahead and muted myself so I could not interrupt you any further. But
Okay.
but that being said, I've realized that when it comes to people and they're sorry, a lot of times people like to say sorry when they know full well that their actions are going to cause harm to somebody else. Right? It's that person who does something that they know is going to mess you up, or they're going to trip you and then say you're sorry, or put their foot out right in front of you where you're walking, trip you, and then say, "Oh, I'm sorry." And that person who says sorry isn't honest. And second of all, they're not standing on their disrespect. And I can't respect somebody who is going to say sorry, but really meant to do something to harm me, because it's like looking at somebody, for example, in a relationship who cheats on you, right?
Mm-hmm.
You know that you just didn't slip on a banana peel and fall on some dick.
Mm-hmm.
It didn't happen that way. There were steps leading up to that, plans leading up to meeting with that person, and time spent sleeping with that person, right? So
Right.
at that point, you tell me, "I'm sorry, I didn't mean to." No, you meant to. Stand on your disrespect. You're sorry don't mean shit.
See, but I think in that situation, right, and that I think it kind of applies to what I said, where I said I will only apologize for what I'm sorry about, right? And see, the problem is the majority of the world has discovered, probably through the process of elimination, that the only apology that could possibly get you off the hook or get you listened to or whatever is the sorry the other person wants to hear. So in the case of the cheating woman, for example, right? I'll say woman because I'm a woman. So in the case of the cheating woman, she's not sorry she went through the whole entire process because that's what she was trying to do on purpose. But she's sorry she did it because when she did it, she realized, you know what? That really wasn't worth the possible consequences. I thought that was going to scratch an itch or fill a hole or whatever it is. It didn't do all of that. And now I've put my relationship, something I actually care about and I actually want, in possible jeopardy. So they are sorry about something. They're just not sorry about the thing that they know is the acceptable answer, which is, I'm sorry about all of it. I didn't mean to do it. It wasn't like, well, see, that's the problem. It's not authentic. So because it's not authentic, your sorry can't really be accepted by the person hearing it because they understand. They probably, maybe they've even been in a similar situation where they've cheated on someone. And so they know exactly what part they were sorry about. They were sorry they got caught. They were sorry there's repercussions to this, maybe. They're sorry that they thought this was going to give them something, but they're not sorry that they actually attempted it, like as though, I'm sorry, I stepped on your rat and I didn't mean to. I really just didn't see it on the ground while I was walking, right? That they're trying to make it sound like it's that kind of sorry, but it can't be because it was intentional. So short of you were blackout drunk, you don't remember the last several hours of the night. You wake up in a bed, you're like, I don't even know what my conscious thoughts were, but I'm naked in a bed with someone else. And yeah, I'm very sorry. I can accept that. You're sorry for that, I guess.
I can't even accept that because you knew you were getting drunk around people you couldn't trust.
Well, no, but you know what? I can accept that sorry based on the premise that, because remember, for me, your words mean nothing. On the premise that you literally never drink again. So if you say, I can't even believe I would do something like that, I am so sorry that I've done this to us, to you. I'm never going to drink again. So that way there's never a risk of me getting blackout drunk and making this type of decision ever again. Then I can accept you're sorry for it. But if you go out with your girls next weekend or tonight because you're sad because I broke up with you or whatever and get just as, no, you even take one sip of alcohol, I no longer believe that you were ever sorry for any part of it because you would be doing everything, as you said, you'd be doing everything that you could within your power to prevent this from ever happening again. So if the only factor was the drinking, then you just would not drink again if you're really sorry.
Now what go ahead.
Oh, okay. I was going to say, since she mentioned being a woman, I will agree. You're sorry because of the consequences, whichever one that is. For me, it was the fact, the way I made him feel. That really hurt me, that I hurt him. I mean, it oh boy, it tore me up inside. I was not sorry for what I've done because I wanted to do what I did. I really did. So, and if he wanted to talk about it, I would have told him that. But he didn't want to talk about it, so we never discussed that. But yeah, I definitely did that before, and I wasn't sorry. I can't say it was planned. Maybe it was. I don't know. I don't remember. But I know I wasn't sorry. That was that was for certain.
Right. Exactly. I've literally done, listen, everyone has a past. I've cheated on a boyfriend before, and I'm the type of person, though, you don't find things out about me. I will just tell you. I tell on myself constantly because I don't like the thing that matters to me more than anything on the planet is honesty. So if my man told me he cheated on me, the fact that he volunteered that information would make it okay with me. Now, again, like I said, there'll be follow-up discussion and whatnot. What I feel twinges of hurt and whatever. Yeah, sure. But like, I would be okay because the part that would bother me in like an affair and whatever is not the cheating, it's the lying and the hiding and whatever. So when I said sorry, I wasn't sorry. I was sorry that he didn't feel the same way about life that I did. That's what it came down to. Yeah, because I wish that he just felt the way I did. So I volunteered the information. Now let's sit down and have a conversation. I'll explain to you how this happened. I'm gonna explain to you how I'm gonna prevent this from happening again because I honestly don't like the feeling I woke up with in the morning. Now I didn't sleep with this person, but we did stuff. And so, and it wasn't even that long, but it doesn't matter. We did it. So it's cheating. And I was just like, I felt garbage about myself. I felt garbage about the fact that I was disloyal to my relationship. after the fact, mind you, right? It wasn't intentional, wasn't planned at all, didn't happen again. But the point is that I still did it, and I didn't feel sorry I did it. I felt sorry he didn't see it the way that I did. And I knew he wasn't gonna. I knew it was like you said, Shar, it's gonna make him feel bad, the
Yeah.
pain and the hurt and the, the deceit and all of that he was gonna feel. And so I was sorry he didn't see the world the way I do. That's really what I was sorry about. That's why I go so far out of my way not to do things wrong in relationships with people, because I know I don't have proper reactions. Like I know I don't. I know I don't think properly about like things like normal people do. So I try just not to get in trouble. I try not to do anything like very, very intentionally all the time. That way I don't have to apologize, because I know that when I'm in the situation where I need to apologize and be full of regret and crying and whatever, first of all, when I'm in trouble, I smile and giggle a lot. And second of all, I know I'm never sorry for the thing I should be sorry for, and I won't lie about it. So I'll tell you, and that's never good for a relationship. So it's just better to not get in trouble to begin with.
Yeah. And if just like Chandra said, stand on your disrespect. I would have stood on it if he wanted to have a conversation about it. He just didn't want to have one. And
Mm-hmm.
yeah, he didn't want to have one, but I really felt bad that I made him feel bad. That really hurt me, that he felt bad.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I've gone ahead and done some thinking about stuff, and when it boils down to forgiveness, right? Forgiveness isn't for the person who says sorry. Forgiveness is for you, right? Because at the end of the day, if you don't forgive somebody, you're the one carrying that bitterness, that anger, that whatever hurt feelings that you're having fester inside you, that's on you. And they're going around living their lives, and you're carrying that bitterness and anger around with you, right? But at the same time, if
Hmm.
someone is willingly and able to willingly hurt you, right? That means if they've done it once, they can do it again. And
True.
that's why I start drawing the line. So if I'm in a relationship with a chick and she decides she wants to go Mike Tyson on my face, she gets once. That's it. Because if she could do it once, she could do it again.
Yeah. Yeah, there's some things just that
If you
just no
cheat on me
apology.
once, if you cheat on me once, you're gonna do it again. And next time it won't be the banana peel. Next time it'll be the you slipped on a grape in the supermarket and fell on some dick instead. Well, it wasn't a banana peel this time. No, no, no. See, the same thought process went into it a second time.
Well, I can't blame you for that, because it goes back to what you want to accept. You don't have to. You really don't have to.
No, it does depend though, right? So if, for example, if you catch, I've been watching a lot of court TV lately, like a lot. So
Uh-huh.
couples court and paternity court. So cheating is like the primary thing in both of these shows, especially couples court. And what I've noticed is that there's two different kinds of cheating we're talking about. We're talking about the cheaters who get caught, initially deny, but then they have no choice but to come clean. There's just too much evidence against them. And then you have the people who cheat and then come to you and tell you they cheated on you. And I'll tell you why I think these two things are different. First of all, because when you catch someone, instead of them volunteering the information, people volunteer the information, I cheated on you or I had an affair, when it's done, right? Until they're done, they're not admitting anything. Whether it was a one-off or a 6-month thing or whatever, until they're done, they are not opening their mouths. So that's point one. So the person who you had to catch, normally when you catch someone doing something, it's not the first time they did it. It's just the first time you caught them. First time you have concrete evidence. But you went looking for the evidence, probably because they've been giving you reason to look for the evidence for an extended period of time. Because you brush off things, a one-off here, a one-off there. So there's a good chance this person's been cheating on you. You only got the confirmation because you had enough evidence, and they didn't volunteer the information. Why? Because they wanted to protect the lifestyle. They want to protect their cheating. They want to protect the line. They want to protect the secret double life, and everything that they are getting internally from being able to cheat on you and then still have a good man or a good woman at home. So that person, yeah, they're just going to keep cheating on you. It doesn't matter what they say at that point, they're not done. The person who volunteers the information, though, I think that the way that you handle that is going to directly determine whether or not they would cheat on you again. And I mean, given that you stay with them. So if they volunteer the information and then you just get angry and scream and put them in the doghouse and blah, 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 and they just got to make it up to you by, apology gifts and apology breakfasts and blah, 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 and let you berate them for a while and whatever, you haven't resolved the underlying issue. Because in general, when people cheat on otherwise functional, happy, loving relationships, or they were, or long-term ones, it's normally because there's a problem. So if you don't address the problem at any point, it's just you're a terrible person for cheating. That's all there is to it. Oh well. Then yeah, they're probably going to cheat again the next time they feel that way, and they probably still feel that way now. So, but I think that if you have a conversation at that point, including getting the whys, why did you cheat? Why, blah, 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 blah. And you are also willing, as the person who got cheated on, to hear them if they say something critical about you. Now, that's not to say it's your fault they cheated. No, they just clearly have bad coping skills, bad communication skills. They have a bad way of handling. Okay, but the point is the point that they made about you and the dysfunctionality of the relationship true? Because if it is true, if you don't fix those things, if you guys don't improve those things, then he's just going to cheat, or she's just going to cheat, or do something else that's equally kind of, against the relationship because you haven't fixed the relationship, right? But I think if you're willing to actually deal with those things, you can come out the other side eventually actually stronger and more bonded.
Now, I have a situation I remember where someone, the guy did cheat on the girl, and he just went on and broke it off with her because he really didn't want to have anything to do with her. And she tried to apologize and say, hey, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to, make things difficult with our relationship. Let's stay together. Forget about that. Wah. And he didn't want that. So the chick started following him and stalking him, all kind of stuff. So how would you describe that? Because that's definitely, I mean, what is that? She's the one to apologize for her behavior that made him go away. But the chick started, following him, stalking him around and all kind of stuff.
That's a lack of self-esteem. And it's
Mhm.
also a fear of being alone on her part. She's more afraid of being alone than she is of being with somebody that openly cheats on her. That's how scared of being alone she is.
Yeah. Remember, people have been living for decades, for centuries, under the premise of their spouse cheats on them, and they're fine with that as long as house and home is taken care of and they're not alone. Right? So, I mean, people have been doing this on both sides. I mean, we normally talk about it as far as women doing it, but really it is both men and women have been knowing their spouse is cheating on them, but they don't look too hard because they don't want to know. So, nowadays, you got all these people with not just conscience. It's not about conscience. It's about the idea that we can do better. We can get better. There's divorce. So, you get another spouse and whatever. So you've got people who say, yeah, I cheated. I'm happier over there. So I'm going to leave now. And you're like, wait a minute. You cheated on me. I didn't do the wrong thing. I'm supposed to kick you out, or you're supposed to beg to stay here. How dare you after all of this, right? So one of them has the new age mindset. If you're so unhappy you'll cheat, then you might as well leave. And the other one has the old age mindset. You might be miserable as hell, but divorce ain't an option, right? So yeah, that's why people with similar values should get together.
And I'll respond a little bit more to the scenario you posed, Char. The fact
Uh-huh.
that she's willing to stalk this guy means that she can't accept that he doesn't want her,
Well,
and that's a
yeah.
scary thing.
Yeah, that too. Now that you mention it.
And
Mm.
there are people out there who can't accept that they're rejected. Then they sit around complaining about being rejected for the next 30 years on panels. But
Well, you just happen to mention panels, but I was thinking about as far as people behavior that you see in social media. Sometimes you say a lot of stuff and you apologize and that doesn't work out for you. And the consequences, it can be anything. And we've seen a couple of things. People try to take people's channel. People dox them, talk about them, all kinds of stuff. And some of these people have apologized, but it just didn't work out. So the end result, you don't know how a person would respond to something even after you apologize.
and
Yeah.
that's something that I look at and I say it's better to stand on your disrespect. You said something and you meant it, stand on it. At least I can respect you for standing on the stuff you said. Oh, if you want to pull it back now that there are consequences for what you did, then what that means is you're just a wishy-washy person who can't even stand up to the heat of your own actions. And
Yeah.
a whole corner says those people deserve what they get.
Yeah, I think we're going to see a lot more in the future. Now things are opening back up. People are going to be taking a couple of trips and meeting some people out in the back. So what you say to what do you say? What you call me? I think you're going to be seeing more of that.
Really? I don't think so at all. Because the reason why they're not meeting up now is not because of COVID. If I remember correctly, and I believe I do, I'm pretty sure we had exactly one of these types of situations happen just last year with a couple popular YouTubers. Well, popular is subjective sometimes, but anyway, you know what I mean. And hey,
Mhm.
one of them showed up, one of them didn't. So yeah, no, if you're not catching flights now, it's because you don't want it. If you're not taking drives now, it's because you don't want it. Because you like the fact that the internet gives you anonymity and protection. So you can say whatever you want without consequences. Um, so I don't think, and I think as much as people talk a lot, so you'll have some people saying exactly what I just said. Some people just want to sit up here and blah, 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 but yo, I'm real. I'm from the streets. But you don't see them
Mhm.
going nowhere. You see them sending for people. Yeah, you come right to my neighborhood, brah. But they won't go. If you're so serious and this person's disrespecting you, wouldn't you go? That's all I'm saying. That's all I'm saying about it. But you
Yeah,
know,
but I think we're going to see something. I really do. I really do, but okay.
Well, I could see things both ways, but at the same time, you have to understand that a lot of people are also just talk. They flap at the gums, but they don't actually mean what they say. So the same thing applies to their sorry as it does to what they're saying out of their mouth to act and look tough.
right,
Yeah.
And when you meet somebody that means what they say, well, you messed with the wrong one.
right.
But you know that
But
woman that
in this day and age, no one apologizes.
oh, go ahead. Uh-oh.
Oh, go ahead, go ahead.
Oh, okay. Um the woman that lied on Emmett Till, she waited right to a deathbed. Oh, guess what, everybody? I apologize. Yeah, right.
Woohoo!
That was a case of just showing you that some people, they only doing it for themselves.
Yes, and there was an example on YouTube where a guy was in the middle of apologizing. At first it wasn't an apology. At first it was, well, I didn't know it was like that, because even though you guys told me, I didn't know it was like that.
Oh
And
yeah.
then when he could no longer play the I didn't know game, it switched to, well, even if I say I'm sorry, y'all ain't gonna forgive me, so I might as well not say sorry.
Yeah.
And my thing is, when you're egregious, yeah, you might as well not say sorry, but don't expect anybody to be around you again because you just egregious.
That's
And
true.
I believe that there are people who just need to be cut off. If you know that someone is taking a course of action that is detrimental to you and or the people around you, cut them off. Because chances are, if they can do it now, they can do it in the future. And if they give them a little bit more fuel, they'll set the entire house on fire next time too.
Oh yeah. I mean, that's what
Mm-hmm.
enabling ain't shitness gives you, right? When you enable ain't shitness, you're basically telling them that it's okay. And so they're gonna keep upping the ante, especially if they are the type of person who is desperate for validation and attention, right? Because if you just kind of say, yeah, sure, this ain't shitness is okay, it gets no extra attention, it gets no extra good or bad, because a lot of people cannot differentiate between good and bad attention. They just want attention. So if it doesn't give them anything extra, because same old, right? Then they're gonna up the ante because they are desperate for that validation and attention, and they're gonna keep doing it, as you said, until they burn the house down. Because once they cross that line, they might regret it after the fact, but they were very intentionally did it because they really wanted consequences, because the consequences means you have to pay attention to them, right? And then you go back to their childhood and you realize nobody was giving them attention. They had to act up in school for mama to actually come down and care. They had to fail a grade for mama to care. Now, it was always bad caring, but still, it doesn't matter. It was some type of attention. So they unfortunately learned this dysfunctional relationship between bad behavior and getting attention versus good behavior and being ignored.
Hmm. That's so true. And think about it. You're a child, you do that, and you're like, okay, I'm gonna be good until you need some more attention.
Mm-hmm.
And then you apologize, and mama say, okay, until you need some more attention. So the cycle just continues. Yeah.
You see, now this is where a lot of people are going to differ from me. Oh, a child's going to be bad to get attention? They can get all the attention they want in a locked, dark room by themselves. Isolation therapy works really good. That's why they put people in solitary confinement in prison. Breaks their spirits real quick.
Mm-hmm.
What age would you say that would be a good idea?
Well, it depends. Around the age of 4, spanking's appropriate. Around the age of 5, spanking and then a little bit more is appropriate. Around the age of 6, oh yeah, you could go in that dark room by yourself. There's gonna be
Hmm.
nothing in there you can use to harm yourself. Nothing you can. It'll be a completely empty room, and you'll
Hmm.
go in there because you feel like you want to act out and get attention until you decide you want to be respectful and deal with things the right way. Because
I don't know.
even at a young age, there has to be consequences. Otherwise, people are incentivized to act. If you take away the incentive for action, oh yeah, oh you want all that attention? You're gonna act out in the store? Okay, cool. You can act out in here. Nobody's gonna pay attention to you. We'll be back in 3 hours to make sure you're still alive.
You know what? I mean, I don't think you have to go quite that far unless it's a really extreme case. Which again, if it's so extreme, that means you've let it go on too long. So you're kind
Hmm.
of failing as a parent. I do think that a little bit of isolation is good. This is why like the timeout chairs and the facing the corner kind of stuff works, right? Because and then but
Hmm.
it only works if what you're doing while they're doing that, they can hear it. They can hear all the other kids getting attention. They can hear all the
Right.
other kids having fun. They're just not allowed to. They have to sit there and be miserable in that corner. They don't have to be in the dark. They're not allowed to interact. They're not allowed to see. They're not allowed to take part. So they might not be getting the individualized attention that they want if they get out of that corner, but they get to be part of the group at least, and then they at least get to share attention with everyone else. You get nothing at all. And so it's like the only attention you get, sit back down. Doesn't sit back down. Do you want to go into the dark, empty bathroom? No? Okay. Then I would sit back
See,
down
the
if I were
problem,
you.
Ruby, is that the bathroom has water with which the kid can actually get into shit. No, then you put them into a specialized room for that.
But who has a specialized? Okay, let's be honest. Who has a specialized dark room no one can hurt themselves in? You have to. Okay, closet then. You have to think like reasonably. What do people actually have in their rooms that you can put a kid in that they won't hurt themselves? Because like the basement's worse. That's where you keep the furnace and stuff and whatever, right? I'm thinking like.
Right.
But then you can't lock kids in closets because they'll call that abuse and call children's aid on you real fast if your kid tells the teacher that I was locked in the closet. Like you can't do that. So that's why I was like, I think a corner, right? Or the naughty step. As much as like that nanny 911 stuff, sometimes I think is hilarious because I'm like, who told these parents how to parent? This is crazy. What is wrong with these kids? These are pretty good kids that barely need any discipline to just settle down, and you can't manage with the 2-parent household. Okay, but that's what they'd have, like the naughty chair or the naughty step, and that's exactly what they did. It works like a charm. Why? Because the kids are right there. They're so close to the fun. They're so close to the attention. They're drinking in it. They desperately want it, but they can't have it because they're on the naughty step. So if they want to have that attention, once they get off the naughty step, they better not be naughty. So it's like,
yeah, I had to agree with you on that because I worked at a nursery school before, and the child just they didn't like sitting in that chair. They squirmed a little bit, and they look back and they give you the little puppy dog eyes.
yeah.
I'm sorry, Miss Willie. And they are sorry. So yeah, I think just that isolation is good enough.
Well, I was going a little bit more extreme, but if you're
Mhm.
dealing with a child that goes and acts out just because they want attention and they know better, yeah, willful actions are kind of a sticking point for me. Oh, you
Yeah.
chose to do that egregious thing, that egregious thing that you know not to do? Oh yeah, we'll go there.
Well, I do think we have to be careful because I do think that sometimes, so like there was that kid, can't remember. I feel like his last name is Fernandez or Hernandez. It's one of those. And they actually did like a little docu-series about it. But basically, he was with his father and stepmother, and he had like ADHD. So he had a hard time remembering things. He had a hard time paying attention to things, and therefore he has a harder time learning things. You actually have to sit down and apply yourself with him so he can apply himself and learn things. You have to be a little bit more patient, and they weren't. And so they used the dark isolation things. Why it popped into my head. They used that, but it was like underneath a sink, like the cupboards, the ones underneath the countertop. So like he'd be locked in there for like days sometimes. Go to school, come back, be locked in there. And then that wasn't working. Of course it wasn't, because there's something psychologically wrong here. It's like a little bit bigger and beyond he just doesn't feel like listening. So then they upped the ante, and then they upped the ante, and then they upped the ante, and eventually they killed him. And they weren't like, they did burn him with cigarettes, and then eventually like basically beat him almost to death, and then he died from injuries resulting from the beating. But prior to that, like he probably would have recovered from the beating, except they were starving him. Because it's like, okay, that whole thing of, well, you go to bed with no dinner. But if you can't be good, then every single day you can't be perfect. Well, then you never get to eat. And that's really what was happening. And so I do think that we do have to, differentiate between like a kid who's consistently problematic, there's probably a bigger and deeper issue, whether it's something like ADHD or maybe some type of trauma you might not even know about, or you might know about the trauma, you think it's resolved and it's not, or something you know about that you don't realize is actually very traumatic to this particular kid, And so like, I do think if we see a kid, especially kids that are consistently problematic, like, we probably should try to kind of get to the root cause of it. But then you also know kids who are acting out. I mean, you should, at least with your own kids, be able to tell the difference. But I mean, working with women of all ages, including little girls, you can see the difference between the ones who are acting out and the ones who actually have a problem. Because the ones who have a problem, they display that behavior everywhere. Whatever the problem is, it's the same at school, it's the same at home, it's the same in my workshop, it's everywhere, right? People who can behave in 2 out of 3 places right? But then they're at home and they're acting out, or they're at school and they're acting out. Well, that means their behavior is controllable. So if their behavior is controllable, that means they're doing it for attention. So, like, that's a good way of kind of figuring out the difference. But
if you are doing it on purpose, the punishment should be commensurate with that willful disobedience or that willful action. That's my take on it. If you walk up to me and this entire hallway is empty and you bump into me, you get once.
Uh-oh. He gonna hurt somebody.
You know what? Well, I do say this though too, because especially when we're talking about parents, you have so much to contend with in life, and so much you're taking care of, and you're trying to just keep the children alive, mostly and functional. In school and clean clothes and whatever, and blah blah blah, roof over their head. Totally understandable. But I do think that sometimes, and I just remember having this issue myself as a child. Because I had young parents who were separated, and yes, they were sharing me 50-50, but that still doesn't make it easier. And so, it's almost like children can sometimes become like a prop, and you forget that they're actually whole human beings with whole systems of thought and feeling and blah, 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 blah. And it's your job as a parent to teach them everything, including expressing emotions. And then once they've expressed the emotion, teaching them how to cope with that, teaching them healthy coping mechanisms versus destructive ones, and so on and so forth. So, I'm not necessarily against the punishment, but I do think that, we do need to both punish or discipline, but we also need to start having more conversations with these kids, because a lot of kids, myself included, no one cared where was this coming from, right? Like, why is this a problem? Why is this happening? No one asked me how I felt about this and that, because people don't consult children when they're making decisions, and that's a very powerless thing. Like, you're still a person, right? We see children like you're only 6, but 6-year-olds see themselves like they're 6 whole years old, right? So like, they're people.
Now just think about it. You're speaking of children, and I'm speaking of adults, because I still want to find out why. And you need to take time out with children and ask them, why did you do this? What's going on? And then again, think about them. They understand apology. If I say it, then I get something. So you have to talk to them. Why did you do this? Same thing with adults. I don't let them get away. Why did you do this? That's why if you do something, you have to have a conversation with me. I used to let that go many times before, but I kind of stopped about maybe about 3 years ago. So anything that happened 3 years ago and on, if it hasn't been settled, if there has been no conversation, first thing I'm gonna ask you, why? Well, see, that's not a reason. I need to know why you're apologizing now.
Yep.
And then again, also I know me, probably once I get all the answers of different things, it's still not going to make a difference. But I definitely need to know why. That's always been who I am. Why? I just need to know why. Why did you do that? Why did you think that was a good idea? I even asked a guy I was dating about arguing with me, because he know I don't argue, and I just interrupted him arguing with himself, asking him, why are you arguing? I did. And he said, because I interrupted. He was arguing with himself. It wasn't me. I was just around. And I actually asked him, I'm like, why are you arguing? Because you won't give me what I want. And I just looked at him. And I'm like, wow, I got an answer though. That was his reason. Because you're not going to give me what I want. I want to do this, so we need to do that, and you disagree, or whatever. I don't remember what it was, but I'm like, wow, at least he was honest.
And you know what? I can respect that honesty.
Yeah.
It may seem childish, right? But if you could be, okay, this is what I want, and oh hey, what you want is not what I want, and we need to go our separate ways. Boom, done. Dealt with like reasonable adults.
Well, yeah.
See, that's why I
I
brought up
never forget that. Oh, go ahead.
No, go ahead, go. You're not finished.
I
We
was
got to
gonna
hear the
say,
rest of this for
oh,
Don
I'm just
TV.
saying, I just never forgot that. I always remember that. Been 20 some years. I just have not forgotten that.
Mhm. See, so then you can make a lot of extrapolations from that, right? He was spoiled, coddled a lot, given his own way a lot, which is why he expects it in adulthood. No one ever taught him the words no. No one ever taught him, oh well. No one ever taught him compromise. He didn't have to do those things, and he brought that into his adult life. Um, this is why I was talking about childhood, though, because a lot of
Hmm.
times when we see this dysfunctional stuff from adults, wherever, it's rooted in childhood. It's rooted in these people's lack of ability to recognize the feeling, recognize their own behavior and why they're acting the way that they are, right?
Yeah.
And if you can't recognize your own behavior and why you're acting that way, how do you mitigate that behavior, right? How do you change what it is that you are doing when you are so not self-aware that and you have literally zero recognition of this feeling that you are letting just explode, take you over, ruin everything for you, right? And it's a feeling that keeps coming and ruining everything for you again and again, but you have literally no self-awareness, literally none. And then you have no coping skills because no one
Yeah.
ever taught you them, right? Because life, like this whole entire life, you're supposed to, it's basically like cooperative learning, right? So first people, when you think about little kids, right? Let's use fishing as an example. So a little kid is brought fishing when they're very young with daddy, right? And the daddy shows them, and he's watching daddy fish. So you get to watch the action, and daddy's normally dictating what he's doing. And now I'm going to put the worm on here, and this is what I'm doing, and blah, blah, blah. And then one day the kid's old enough to be able to hold his own fishing pole. And so now daddy's going to show you how to fish, right? And he's going to walk you through every step and correct every mistake you're making and blah, blah, blah. And then one day you can fish on your own, right? And he's going to observe you and then still critique and, point out things to you and whatever. And then one day you can just go to the fishing hole yourself and get the fish for the family, right? But it's this whole cooperative process. And like we think human beings like just naturally learn and know everything that they know, and they don't. It's a cooperative process. So the problem
Yeah.
is that people aren't being taught coping skills. They aren't being taught emotional health. They aren't being taught psychological well-being. They aren't being taught any of those things. And they're not even being taught that, you know what, if you don't have those things, counseling is a good option. Counseling is healthy. People who are in a bad spot, mentally and emotionally, go to counseling. We're not even taught that, right? So it's like a lot of people
Yeah.
were failed in childhood. Now they're full-grown adults. They've been dysfunctional their whole lives,
Yeah.
and they don't even know it's dysfunction. They have no idea. They've spent their whole lives not being able to identify what that feeling is, and they spent their whole lives when they get the littlest bit hurt, disappointed, angry, scared, sad, whatever it is, right? Allowing that to become a volcano and a cauldron, because it's basically a protective defense mechanism, and they just
Hmm.
live a whole series of defense mechanisms and let it keep destroying their lives, and then blaming everyone else for it, and then going, but it's not my fault, because that's all they know. And no one ever told them any different.
Wow. That's messed up. And I'm wondering, as far as no one telling them, in what way, as of taking time to ask questions, or just did they just avoid them? Um, in what way that they never, uh-oh, may have a solution here. Uh-oh,
This
go
one is
ahead.
a solution. Well, see, everybody that tells me I'm wrong, they just a hater. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, about that. That's something that's said a whole lot because you disagree with someone. That means you're hating. We see a lot of that on YouTube. I'm sure you have it in your personal life as well. I've seen where a friend of mine, we were teenagers, and we got a first job. We were 18 years old, and my friend's sister and brother just was mean to my friend because they felt when she got paid, she should lend them some money. And I say lend, I don't want to say give to them, but that's what they expected. And she did so the first time, but she ran short, so she didn't do so the next time because they didn't give her her money back when they were supposed to.
Mm. Mm.
Now,
And
see,
it was a mess. Go ahead.
there's a certain, if you follow the derelict school of thought, well, I deserve that money because you know me this long time, and you're supposed to give me this money. Hit that link. Um, but I digress. Her money is her money, and if you don't pay back when you say you owe money, that's on you.
Yep.
Yeah. Yeah. But I did see that.
You teach people how to treat you, right?
Yeah. Do you accept the apology? I say no, but it's something about the sister and brother dynamic, the siblings. They do, to me, they do a little bit more than someone else would do. I don't understand that. If you cheated me the first time, gave you another chance, and you did it again maybe a week or a month later, I'm done with you. But it's something about their relationship. So,
Let's see,
yeah.
It's
Char,
reciprocal.
I'm with
First of
you on
all,
that. Go
no,
ahead.
go
Okay.
ahead.
Okay. Yeah. See, I'm with you on that. Where even if you're family, if you do wrong by me, if you purposely do something to harm me, you are now in that category of people who I don't need to be around. And until you show evidence of changing, I don't need to be around.
Mm. Mm-hmm.
As one
See,
of our famous YouTubers would say, point blank, period.
yeah,
All right.
like the period with the T at the end of it. It's good. Um, I will say this. When it comes to siblings, it's reciprocal. So if you were born and raised with someone, then y'all have been doing petty or bigger slights to each other your whole lives. So that's point one. Point two is we forget that apologies and accepting apologies are a separate thing from, that's why they say forgive and forget, right? So I can forgive you your discretions and I can still love you. We're in a great relationship now and blah, blah, blah. Nothing's going to change between us, but I won't lend you money anymore, right? Now, me forgiving you and saying, yeah, no, I accept your apology. I understand. Totally cool. That's why we're cool still. That's why we talk every day on the phone. That's why this, that's why that. That's why no other factors have changed. But I don't have to forget just because I forgave you. Right. So I think that those are two separate factors, and we have to see them as two separate factors. And it's dysfunctional when you see them as the same thing. So if they forgive you, if they accept your apology, that means everything has changed. Now, I've had an ex-boyfriend after the fact. So when we were dating, it was not just toxic, it was actually very controlling, abusive, like violently abusive, and whatever. And after the abuse itself stopped, I think I've told that story before, so I won't go into it. But after the abuse itself stopped, still very controlling and toxic and damaging in a lot of ways. And years afterwards, he's like, "Hey, I want to talk to you," because then we actually stayed friends. I know I make really strange decisions to normal people, but when I said honesty means more to me than everything else, I actually meant it. It's a very honest person, very dysfunctional, very toxic person, but also very honest. So I was good with that. As long as we can be honest with each other, you're always gonna be honest with me. You're never gonna pretend you're someone you're not, which you never did.
Mhm.
I was just young and naive, and you think you can save someone, you think you can change someone, whatever. Duh. No, you can't. Learn that lesson. So we were still friends, and at
Burn
one
all
point,
capes.
right? I know, but I didn't at the time. So but we were cool. We were friends. We hang out, whatever. And at one point, we were all chilling somewhere, and he said, "Hey, can I talk to you for a second?" And I said, "Sure." And he crumpled into a ball. Like he looked like someone had stabbed him in the stomach. I was like, "Are you okay?" He's like, "Just wait. Just hold on a second. I have something to say." But the words are hurting me to say. I'm like, okay. And then he apologized. He apologized for every bad thing he ever did that he could remember he did. To be fair, alcoholic. So there's a bunch of stuff he couldn't remember, but he knew how terribly he treated me. He said I was the only person in the world he knew that didn't deserve it. He normally wishes horrible things on like everyone, a lot of people. Like his parents were terrible people. He wishes horrible things on them constantly, and his sister even, and whatever. But he said I was the only person in the world who ever cared about him, was ever there for him, even after the fact when he really doesn't deserve it, and whatever. And so it kills him inside that he was so terrible to me. So he needed to apologize to me. He never apologizes to anyone. That's another one of those apologies that meant a lot to me. But his apology didn't change our relationship status. You know what I mean?
Right. Yeah.
He's still who he is. He's still all kinds of messed up. And I accepted his apology, and I said, if you want to show me you're really sorry, the next woman you date, you'll treat her better than you treated me, right? But I mean, there's no proof that behind closed doors you treat anyone anyway. So, but it didn't change the way I saw him. Oh, well, now that he's sorry, maybe I should give him a chance. No, of course not, right? I accept your apology. I believe that you actually really are regretful after the fact now, and blah 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 blah. I believe you, and I accept that, and we cannot bring it up again. Fine, right? But it's not going to necessarily change my future behavior or my future view of you. Or, well, now that he apologized to me, yeah, sure, I'll introduce you to my cousin today. Like, hell no, right? No, of course not, never, right? But like, I accept your apology though. I believe you, and yeah, we're cool, but just not like you'll never date anyone that I care about ever, right? But yeah, we're cool otherwise.
Rule number 1, never forget. Rule number 2, forgive seldom. And when I say forgive seldom, I'm not saying that you're harboring ill intentions against people, but understand that if somebody willingly hurt you in the past, that human beings are creatures of habit. This is one of their major weaknesses. If they ran around in their life hurting you, chances are they're hurting somebody else around them, and they're going to continue acting in that way until some equal or greater force overcomes that nonsense, right? Laws of physics and human behavior, right? So never forget, forgive seldom, because people are creatures of habit, and you could think that you want to forgive somebody all you want, but chances are, if that behavior is a habit, it's going to happen again.
Yeah.
Well, you can look around and see how they treat others as well, and that kind of gives you a measuring stick. Because sometimes people, they'll just try something new on you, and they thought it was a great idea. It just didn't work out, and they apologize, and they really can mean it. You're like, dang, I thought this was going to work out. I didn't mean for this to happen. And they can be genuine, and I can accept that.
At which point do I look like a guinea pig?
Okay, well, I guess it depends on what it is.
Yeah, you try that new recipe on me, that's one thing. You try being a complete a-hole to me because everybody else around you've been too nice to.
Fair point. I will say this though too, because see, to me, and again, I know it might sound a little foreign to people. People think about apologies and forgiveness as two sides of the same coin. As in, if you're going to apologize for something, you got to do it to the person that you wronged, right? An apology is something you give directly to the person who hurt you, and then forgiveness is something you give in return to the person who hurt you. But that's actually not true, right? So you can't apologize just for yourself, right? You have to apologize to the person that you hurt. Otherwise, you're not apologizing, right? But you're supposed to give the apology without expecting the forgiveness or expecting anything, because in essence, when you give an apology, you're telling the person you're wrong. You're sorry. You regret what you did. You recognize why you're wrong. Here's all the reasons why you were wrong. You're supposed to let them know that. Okay. Now, but forgiveness, you don't have to have someone apologize to you to forgive them. You don't. And you forgiving someone doesn't mean you ever have to talk to them again. So, because someone can wrong you, and you can find forgiveness in your heart for that person without them ever having apologized to you. You forgiving doesn't mean you forgot. So you're not just letting it go and whatever, right? But you're putting it to bed for yourself. You find the answers that you need within your heart and soul for you to be able to let go of that and say, I forgive this person. I forgive, I can understand this, and this, and this. Doesn't mean I want to be part of their life. Doesn't mean if they came and gave me an apology, I would do anything more than accept it. But at the end of the day, I forgive this horrible person for what they did to me, and then leave it there. Our problem is, right, because we think that it's this two-part process. We think the only way we can get that soul healing or that soul cleansing is if when someone apologizes to us, then we accept their apology, or we voice it out loud. I apologize, you're forgiven. Or, no, you don't have to apologize. This is forgiveness is something you come to within your heart for yourself as an individual. It should have no bearing on what your actions are to the person who wronged you. If you want to share that you've forgiven that person, great. If you want to change your behavior now that they've apologized, great. But none of that has to be connected, right? Forgiveness is for the person who was wrong, for them letting it go. It's basically like a cleansing of your soul and letting it go. And that's as far as it needs to go, really.
I'm going to disagree with you, Ruby, on this in the sense that, see, a lot of people like to believe in this forgiveness thing. And okay, let's say you decide one day you're going to stab me right in the back, right above the kidneys, nick my renal artery, right? I managed to survive this crap, right? And from here on, I'm not forgetting what you did to me, and I'm not forgiving that either. Why? Because that was a willful choice. You knew exactly what you were doing, trying to stab me above the kidney. That's a death shot, right? So you tried to kill me. I'm not forgiving this. Now, I'm not keeping you in the back of my mind, or I'm not giving you space in my mind for the rest of my life, especially if you're going away and rotting in jail until I find out you're free again, right? But let somebody approach me from my right side near my kidney again. See what happens to them.
Which I understand. But see, I guess, and this is why I said forgiveness has been warped to be this thing that is absolution for the person who did you wrong. And it was never meant to be that. It's not absolution. It's not saying it's okay, it's fine that you did this terrible thing to me. That's not what forgiveness is, right? Because it's not fine. Like nothing, it doesn't matter how many times someone says sorry for a terrible thing. It doesn't actually make the thing they did okay, right? Even if it's someone you love, and so you're gonna continue a relationship and whatever, it doesn't make the terrible thing okay. Nothing makes something okay, right? So forgiveness is literally you stopping and saying, okay, well, if it was a random act, right? It wasn't personal. This person was killing everyone. I was just everyone that day on the sidewalk. I read the news articles and this and this and this happened to them. Yeah, that's terrible for that person. I guess that would be a horrible situation to have been in. Okay. Yeah, so now if I see that person's name, whatever. I don't care. I don't care about them one way or the other. Because the thing is, until you get to that level of forgiveness, every time you hear that person's name or see their face, it's going to be reignited. Right. And the only person that's hurting is you. Right. Now, this is not about, like I said, it's not about absolving that person of their wrong. It's not about saying and I wanted to make that point because it pisses me off when I see us, specifically us, sit there in court or at press conferences and whatever and absolve people for doing horrendous crimes to our mothers, our fathers, our children, whatever. That's what I mean. Forgiveness is not supposed to be public, and it's not supposed to be absolution for the other person. It's supposed to be you finding a way to make peace with that, with what happened.
Yeah.
So you can put it to bed without it destroying your entire life. Because when we think we put things on the back burner, we think it's gone. right? Because I'm not actively thinking about it. But it leaks out into your conscious behavior, day-to-day, everything, and not in a positive way. It's not in a I learned a valuable lesson kind of way, in a toxic way. And the more that we do that, the more toxic things we've let leach out and affect our lives negatively.
And
I'm with you.
I hear you, but at the same time, once again, I'm going to use the example. You stabbed me right above the kidney, right?
Mhm.
You go ahead and stab me right above the kidney. I will not forgive you. You will never have the chance to stab me above the kidney again. You will be shot before you get close enough to stab me above the kidney. But that being said, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's a thing where we've been taught by society, whether it be by way of Christianity saying turn the other cheek, right, to be passive, or in school when that kid behind you throws a spitball at you, right, and you hit the kid in the face after he threw the spitball at you, right, knowing that he chewed up that piece of paper and got that thing nice and moist, right, just to spit it at you, right.
Yeah.
Oh, and then the teacher says, well, you need to say sorry for hitting him. And then you go say, sorry, now you guys are okay with each other, right? Yes. No. You chewed up that spitball, I'm going to chew you up. Because until we start being more true to ourselves and have that honesty with ourselves, then that entire forgiveness principle doesn't really apply. Because my thing is, I'm not going to go through my life thinking about chewing that guy up. That guy doesn't deserve the space in my head. But it is understanding who that guy is. Oh, that's the guy that disrespected me all throughout elementary school. I know he's capable of that level of disrespect now and more. Therefore, he is not forgiven. He is always branded in my head as that.
Yeah, but
I don't forgive him.
But you forgiving him doesn't unbrand him, or it shouldn't. People who have connected those two things are wrong because they're not connected.
Okay.
Okay, so I'll explain. Okay, so my grandmother was terrible to my mother, absolutely terrible to her. Now, my mother made peace with her mother, right? She forgave, didn't quite forget, because if you forget, then you're going to keep expecting your mother to be someone she died. That's not healthy for you. It's going to keep driving you crazy. That's what happened to my mother's brothers. Right. But she forgave her and then said, okay, well, you're dying of cancer and whatever, so I'm going to be part of your life. Right. I forgave my grandmother. But she might be dying of cancer. She might have been dying of cancer, but she was still selfish. And she had still destroyed her children and her family and done so many terrible things and said so many terrible things and so many destructive things. So I forgive you. I forgive you because you know what? You must have been born and bred and trained to be this. You are being what you were made to be. So I forgive you for being a horrible person. But it doesn't change the fact that, in my opinion, you don't deserve my support. You don't deserve my support because you were still a horrible mother and you still did this and you still did this. You still did all those things.
Yeah.
Right? Now, my mom said she apologized. I never heard her apologize to nobody, and I don't quite believe her. But she said she apologized near the end. I don't really believe her. But the point is, whether she apologized or not doesn't change for me everything she did up until that point. She was lying on her deathbed and so-called apologized. Right? So I forgive her, fine, but it doesn't change who she is. And therefore it didn't change the way I was going to treat her, even while she was dying. And so I forgave her for me. I let go of it for me. Because if I hadn't let go of it, I'd probably be in the same place that my uncles are in right now, where they're just in this turmoil because now it's like there's something unfinished. For me, there's nothing unfinished. I've literally been able to let it go, but I didn't absolve her. I didn't tell her it was all okay. I didn't say, okay, well, I'll come be at your bedside every other day like my mom was. Nope. You don't have absolution from me, but I forgive you. You're a terrible person, fine, but you were probably created this way. I have no idea what you went through. It was probably terrible for you to have become this way. Fine. I forgive that. But you're not absolved of that, and it doesn't change your history. So therefore, it's not going to change my behavior towards you.
Why are we giving people excuses for being terrible people? No, that's a choice. Every day you wake up and you a complete and total a-hole or bitch. That's a choice.
I like how you said a-hole, but bitch, right? Like, why would you say asshole?
So you caught that, huh?
I'm just saying that every day you choose to be horrible to people. That's a choice. I don't care how you were made. That's a choice. If you choose not to get the help you need to become a better person, that's a choice. That don't deserve no forgiveness.
You know, I'm
So
gonna have to agree with you on that because there's each day you have your demons. Those demons, they come to you in your sleep, quiet room, whatever. So you deal with that. You try to drown them out with television, radio, games, whatever. You try to drown them things out. Okay. But you're going to be facing something, even if it's through television, there's going to be something that is going to say, hey, you're a jerk. You need to get yourself together. There's going to be some program. Hey, this person is a jerk. Ooh, that reminds me of myself. So you're going to see it in some type of medium. I don't care what it is. You're going to see that. And that's your chance to say, yeah, that reminds me of myself. Yeah, I need to change that. That's not a good idea. I'm not really comfortable or whatever it is. So throughout life, these things come to you. That's just how life is. It's going to hit you in the face. I don't care if you're, I said television, radio, newspaper. It's something. You're going to read about it. You're going to see it. Something about yourself that needs to change. And you just ignore and push it to the side until you're old and alone and no one's there. But you do have a chance to change. So I do agree with you on that, Chandra. You do get opportunity to change. You just choose not to. You
But
just want to be
only
stubborn. Hmm.
I think the thing is, though, it's not even just about being stubborn. Well, you think about it this way, right? Okay, you are who you are, right? I am who I am. Chandra is who he is, right? Now, we all, as human beings, right? We can see ourselves. There's stuff about ourselves that we love, and there's stuff about ourselves that we hate, right? And we might
Uh-huh.
not focus all the time on the stuff that we hate. But
Hmm.
as you said, when we're reminded of those things on TV or whatever, we're like, ooh, that really is nasty. I should work on that. Yes. But what about the things about you that maybe you don't see as a problem? If you saw it on TV and you don't understand that it's a problem, or again, one of your defense mechanisms that you've been cultured in from very young is to blame everyone but yourself, then you don't see the problem. So you'd be like, yeah, exactly. So you'll actually relate to that behavior in a positive way, not in a negative way. You won't see it and go, oh, this person is so irrational. Look at how clearly blah, blah, blah. You're going to relate to the irrational person and say, yeah, that poor guy. Yeah, everyone was coming at him and everyone was this and everyone was that. So, perspective really is everything. And that's part of the issue. If I saw that behavior, I would look at it and be like, oh my God, this is horrible. Right. But
I agree with you, but I'm
you know,
also going to challenge that just a little.
mhm,
Now, if you're in a office setting where all these darn office politics, where they just not going to point it out and hit around it, because that gets on my nerve. Oh, well, you guys need to come to work on time, because other people have to pull the slack when you're not here. And everybody just sitting there like, I ain't talking about me. And yeah,
mhm.
we are talking about you instead of pulling that person to the side. So yeah, they get away with that and they don't, say it's them. But somebody in some kind of way at the picnic, at the family reunion, somebody said, oh, you still a witch, ain't you? Who you calling a witch? You always doing such and such, such and such. You still the same, ain't you? Somebody gonna point something out one day. I don't care if it's once a year, Christmas, something. So some people, they hear about themselves. They just ignore it. They like,
Yeah, because they
forget them.
justify it.
Yeah.
It's the fundamental attribution error. There's literally a name for it. Fundamental attribution error. So if we saw someone else doing the same behavior, right? Someone we don't know, right? Don't relate to. So someone cuts you off in traffic, right? This guy's a jerk. Where'd you learn to drive a Cracker Jacks box? Right? He's a jerk. He, as a human being, is a horrible person, right? Like, if he was on fire at this point, I wouldn't piss on him to put him out, right? Like, we hate this guy. He's terrible. But if I cut someone off, I'll be like, wait, sorry about that. He's honking. God, calm down. I didn't see you were there. Obviously, it was a mistake, jerk, right? I'm not a bad person for cutting someone off. I didn't mean to, or I'm on the way to the hospital. My wife's having a baby, or I am late for work. And if I'm late one more time, I'm fine. It wasn't my fault because my baby was sick this morning, right? So we justify ourselves, right? And we say, listen, I'm not a terrible person. The environment around me created this situation, but I overall am a good person. But the person that we're looking at, this other third party dude, I don't know him from Adam. Right? I'm judging him based on this one situation. I'm saying I don't care about the environment. Whatever the environment is, he's a terrible person. Okay,
okay.
like a natural thing that humans do. Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, so can we call it fundamental Ruby headcanon from now on?
No, it's called the fundamental attribution error.
Fundamental Ruby headcanon, because you always find a reason or excuse for somebody to be doing something, right? And even though you're saying, oh well, they could have been raised horribly, and they could have gone through a horrible life, and that makes them who they are. No, it's a choice. but forget all that. I own my a-hole. They need to own their shit.
But you don't see your a-hole as a bad thing. That's my whole point. My whole point is you don't see the a-hole as a bad thing, right? Or you don't see the no capes as a bad thing. There's a whole bunch of things about yourself that you don't inherently see as a bad thing that others might see as a bad thing. They might see those things make you cold or, inhuman or something, right? You don't see them as a bad thing, but that's your perspective, right? Whereas other people might have a perspective about you that says, no, you're a cold, inhuman person, incapable of love and incapable of this and that, even though it's not true. It's just your life experiences up until this point have taught you certain valuable lessons, and, the accumulation of all those things is a-hole corner.
Yeah,
right?
But I don't blame anybody for me being who I am. I am me. I choose to be me. And if I blame anybody else for who I am, I am failing myself.
But you're right. You're not blaming other people, but without your interactions with other people, you wouldn't have learned the lessons that made you into who you are, right? And given your natural disposition, the coping skills that you had on hand, and so on and so forth, right? This is now the collection that becomes Chandra, and this is how you deal with X situation and Y situation is Z situation. Right?
Now, Ruby, thank you, but I don't need an excuse to be who I am.
It's not an excuse. See, this is the whole point. It's called an explanation, right? And so I'm just saying, though, that's everybody, right? People don't just come out of the womb and they just magically are just like that, or they just turn 21 and suddenly become assholes. Or no, right? People are the way that they are. They behave the way that they do. They make the decisions that they make, everything for reasons. Now, again, excuses would be me saying that therefore makes this person still a good person. That therefore still, makes this person someone you should hang out with and be best friends with, or that therefore, no. I'm not excusing. What I'm saying, though, is I'm explaining the way that we form humans. And so since this is how a human personality, characters, and values all come to be, the whole thing is, someone who's absolutely horrible to everybody is not horrible to everybody, but you know what? They had a really blessed life their whole life, man. Everything was great, and but they're terrible. Like, no, right? School shooters, they don't go shooting up their school because every single day was a holiday when they went to high school. They just got bored one day. Right now, does it make it okay to say that they've been bullied and tormented and harassed from the second they walked into kindergarten? Does it make it okay what they did? Hell no. Of course not. No. Right? But, it would be a lie to say, hey, listen, I can see a direct connection between the bullying and the hazing and the this and the that and the feeling of powerlessness and a lack of control. The teachers aren't doing anything because these kids over here are privileged, so they can do what they want and blah, 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 blah. And then, that amounted to this. I can see the connection between these two things. So if we want to stop school shootings in the future, we should deal with that.
I can see the connection between them kids not getting their ass beat because they were, from predominantly households, so because we don't hear these stories about these black kids going and shooting up schools now, do we? All right, point made.
Well, I'm gonna twist it just a little bit. I had a friend that had an issue with. It was a conversation her and my mom had. I was not around. I wasn't there to witness it. Now, of course, I know my mom longer because my mom raised me. So, of course, yeah. But I listened to both sides, and when I listened to both sides, I said, well, that's something you all have to work out. And both were telling me. My mom was saying, no, I didn't say that. I said this. My friend said, no, you know me. I didn't say that. I said this. And I still had the same conclusion. You two need to talk to each other again. Evidently, there has been some miscommunication.
Right.
And then my friend started distancing herself away from me, I guess because I didn't side with her. I don't know. Maybe that was it. I don't know. But we stopped talking to each other. She distanced herself. I'm like, okay, whatever. And next thing I know, like 7 years went past, and I got a phone call because my number was still the same. And she reached out to me. And it wasn't any apology like, last time I talked to you, it was this. No, it wasn't anything like that. I remember, of course. But we didn't have a conversation about that. She said, oh, okay, I was wondering if your number was the same. Are you still living in the same place? Yeah, I'm still living in the same place. And then she started telling me about her life. And it sounded a little sad to me because I can just imagine, some of the things that she was telling me. I'm like, wow, how is that working? So I listened to her and she said, okay, and you can call me. This is my new number. And oh, okay. And I reached out to her a couple of times. I think one time she was asleep and next thing her phone was disconnected. So I wasn't surprised because some of the stuff that she told me she was going through, I'm like, ooh, that seemed a little tough. And but I was, I did not forget what happened. It was no apology. I had no intentions on bringing it up. I remember what happened. But I didn't see where we were going to be hanging out or anything anytime soon because of her life had changed a bit. It was much busier. So I was willing to, have a conversation on the phone with her. It just didn't turn out because the phone was disconnected. So I'm like, okay. But, technically I forgave her. We just never talked about it.
So in the case, you said you would have had a conversation. So like when you forgave her, would you have like continued forward like, hey, now like forgive and forget? Or was it more like I forgive you, but now we'll just never be the same again. I just can't.
Yeah, well, it'll never be the same again. And I found out through the grapevine that her life had changed. I was told that it was some drugs involved, and that's exactly how the person said, oh, there's some drugs involved, and that was it. They didn't tell me what. I don't know. And but I knew the direction I was going in. And I wasn't, I was hanging out, dating and stuff, so I was doing my thing. And her life had changed some. I think she had another couple of children or something, but her life had changed. And so she wasn't going to be hanging out anytime soon. So like I said, I was willing to do the phone call, and I was okay with that. But the 2 times I called, the first time she was asleep, And the next time, the phone disconnected. All within 30 days.
Wow.
This reminds me of something a wise woman once told me when I was in high school. She said, when someone shows you who they are, believe them. This is someone who, because of whatever misunderstanding she had with your mother, went
Mhm.
7 years without talking to you, just faded away into the mist.
Yeah.
And that shows you how important you were to her.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I agree. I agree.
What is there to forgive at that point? Oh, I'm that important to you? Got it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Well, I
but
mean,
like I said, we weren't. I already knew where it was going. It was only going
right.
to be on the phone, and that was it.
I think it depends on other factors too, because like I told you about at the start of the stream, this situation with one of my best friends, it's like 13-year long friendship now, that, first she never was going to talk to me again, and I was never going to talk to her again. So, and
Mhm.
for pretty valid reasons, right? But, and for both of us, we have cut people off for less, and then that was it forever, right? Didn't even blink twice about it. Couldn't care less. So in the situation with that friend, there was so much good, so much bond, so many things we had gone through, and so much building. And so it was, I think, even in the first couple of years of our friendship, so I think that, for her, it was a little bit not like easy, because she's not a particularly forgiving person at all, right? And we did have to rebuild trust, and then she had to rebuild trust with me and whatever. But I think it was all of those other things that ultimately, like, I know who you are, I know what your character is, I know that without the you know drug and alcohol abuse, basically, this would have happened.
Mhm.
And so, I'm gonna evaluate, I'm gonna give you one more chance, like one, but I'm gonna give you one more chance, and let's see what you do with the chance, right? Whereas there are friendships and people that I've never given another chance to. There's certain lines, you cross them, I'm done forever, right? Um, or like with my best friend, who like devastated me on my 19th birthday, and I didn't talk to her at all for like months, and then I tried to save her at one point. My mom and my boyfriend at the time physically prevented me from taking money out to save her. They took my keys and they took my bank card, and they wouldn't give it back. And I cried and I cried. I had to call her back and be like, they won't let me help you because they say you don't
Mhm.
deserve my help. To be fair, you probably don't. But you're like my sister, and yeah, but I can't help you. And then she went through about 6 years, 6, 7 years or so before we were friends again. And we didn't start. I thought it would never be the same again. 7 years later, like, I really thought it would never be the same again. And my godson was born at 24 weeks. I tell you guys this a lot. Um, Between the time that that kid was born and when she first came by, it was about 4 years. And I was already going through my health issues. I think I had just had my first surgery, and she came down like every day to help me, visit me, and whatever. And it's like we had to slowly build and slowly reconnect. But it was really with my
Mhm.
godson over in this incubator, and me and her sitting over this damn incubator like every day, and then sitting at her house afterwards, that we actually rebuilt our friendship, because it really had to do with confronting each other about a lot of things, not just like this one situation, but like
Uh-huh.
a lot of things that had gone wrong in high school in general. And I was finally at a place where I wasn't angry and violent anymore, so she could tell me that was a major issue for her. She didn't understand why was I angry all the time. She had to walk on eggshells around me and this and that and blah blah blah. And that's not excusing her behavior, just more like we're more talking about the whole friendship now. And it was dissecting all of those things and just being brutally honest with each other, in essence, over this kid that could fit in the palm of your hand for 6 months, that rebuilt the friendship, right?
Yeah.
And I'll say that I don't think, other than her, I've never forgiven someone and it got right back to the way it was from a devastation that deep, besides her. And it was
Okay.
just like where she was at the time in her life. Basically, she had just aged out of foster care, and she lived with me for the year after that, because we had grade 13 back then to get into university. Um, And a lot of things just fell apart for her, and she was feeling very destructive. And ultimately, she knew I wouldn't let her self-destruct. So she was trying to push me away, and I just wasn't letting her. And so she did something really big, and then she could go self-destruct, right? Because now I
Okay.
don't talk to her, and that's what she was doing. She was on this path of self-destruction, and she didn't want to be stalked. And so that's what she did for a long time. And then she started working herself out and working her stuff out and whatever, and did a lot of counseling and therapy and growth and blah blah blah, long before she ever gave me that call and said, hey, can I come over so we can talk, you know? So I think it was like, at the time, yeah, good thing our friendship was over, because that would have been really destructive for me given where I was. But you know, I did end up forgiving her, like heart and soul. And you know, I didn't forget. But that being said, not forgetting, we both bring it up and stuff, right? It's not like she's back where she was plus 100. You know what I mean? Like, we are tighter than sisters, you know, and complete
Okay.
trust, complete everything, right? So, and you know, no awkwardness, no weirdness about it, whatever. And so,
Yeah.
you know, I don't know what it is that made me forgive her that way versus other people. That I forgive you, yeah, we're cool again, but I still hold something inside my heart about it. You know, I'm gonna be all the way 100. Maybe some resentment, maybe some pain still. Maybe some, as soon as you do the littlest thing, I flash right back to that moment, or you know what I mean? Something like that.
Yeah.
So I do think it's her. It's her. It's that specific relationship and that specific bond that we had, and so much of the other good that in context, it really is a drop in the barrel, you know?
Yeah, I with the friend that called me after 7 years, like I said, I didn't see, you know, I was surprised, and I'm thinking of what had happened, and knowing my mom, she would have like, girl, please. Knowing my mom, she's like, girl,
Mm,
please. But I just like I said, I was willing to talk to her on the phone, and that was it. I wasn't willing to go any place with her, go
mm-hmm.
to her house, have her come to mine. I wasn't interested in any of those things. Just
Right.
the conversation. Really can't explain why, but I was willing to give her that.
Mm-hmm. Levels. There's levels to forgiveness. And see, I don't think it's forgetting, right? It's like forgive and forget. I don't know how people actually literally forget things, but like that part of it, the forgive and let's continue a relationship. There's levels to it, I think.
Yeah.
Now, do you think, is there something for you that a person can do, given that you've forgiven them, you've given them the teeny tiny little crack in the door in, are there things that they can do over time to reestablish a real, you know, deeper, fully connected relationship with you?
Hmm. I really have to think of what that would be. Um, Now, are you speaking as boyfriend girlfriend relationship? Um, High school? I mean, what relationship are you speaking of?
It
Working
would be
relationship?
like adulthood, close relationship. So either dating or friendship, right?
Mind if I answer first?
Sure.
Ooh.
Human beings are creatures of habit. If they are capable of harming you in the past, there is a likelihood that they will harm you in the future. The best predictor of future behavior is past behavior.
Okay. Now, do you care? Do you care about intentionality?
See, the problem with that intentionality statement is if you go ahead, right, and do something stupidly that affects me, I know you're stupid and I know to stay away from it, right? You weren't thinking, you weren't even trying to harm me, but because you did it stupidly and, you know, you decide you're going to do a water slide in the middle of the hallway and you fly into my face, right?
Mm-hmm.
I know to stay away from you because you're stupid. Because you didn't think about what was going to happen next.
Well, okay, but what if
Now,
it's
if you
something like,
intend it, like if you knew that you were going to hit me or that there was a possibility of you hitting me on that water slide down the hallway, right?
Mm-hmm.
And you still went ahead and ran and hit that slide full speed. Oh yeah, there's a slightly harsher punishment. There's a slightly harsher willingness. There's even less willingness to deal with you as a person. But when I know you're stupid, I can understand that you're stupid. Put you in a stupid box.
Okay, what
And stay
about
away
the
from
third
you.
variable? What about the third variable of not stupid, but just not intentional? So let's
Okay,
say, I
give me
don't
an
know.
example.
I'll give you an example. I'll give you an example. Now, and again, I don't know exactly, right? But like, let's say, you had a history where you were really fat in your teens, young adulthood, and you got hazed and horrible things connected to your weight, right? So now this person meets you like 10 years later. You've lost all the weight, no signs. You don't talk about the fact that you were overweight or whatever. They have no idea that a joke about your weight is going to hurt you or trigger you or offend you because they see you. Now you're all fit and buff and stuff. So calling you fatty is like, it's clearly like sarcasm the other way around. Like, they clearly didn't mean to hurt you. It's clearly like, dude, there's nothing on you that's fat. You're like 2% body fat. Like, obviously. They had no idea.
If that hurts me, I look at myself and go, why am I so insecure that them calling me fat hurts me?
No, I'm just saying though, right? Obviously, I don't know all the things that would hurt and offend Chandra to be able to make up a specific example that would actually hurt and offend you. But I'm just saying, right? Like, let's say that's the scenario, right?
Okay, let's say
So,
that is the thing that hurts and offends me.
yeah,
You get
and
one.
they didn't know.
You get one. Don't
Okay.
say sorry. Don't do it again.
Okay.
That's fair.
Yes,
And now I'm just going to add on that. I like to, now you said they didn't know. So now I'm going to ask them, well, why did you do that? I like to ask some questions. Why did you do that?
And
Oh,
I
you
was thinking,
found that to be funny or amusing? I mean, why would you say that?
it's that role reversal thing. It's like when you call really tall people short, right?
Mhm.
Or like you call super buff people fat. Like, it's just like it's funny because it's so not true.
I don't
So
know.
you decided you had to make a joke at this moment.
Okay, let's pretend that in the context them making a joke, y'all make jokes and whatever. Them making a joke in this context is not inappropriate, right? It's just the particular joke is something that happens to cut you deep, and there's no way they could have known that unless you gave them that information.
And then I tell them, hey, you stepped on my toe there. You better not do that again, because I'll step back on yours and it's gonna hurt more. I'm a little bit heavier than you. Remember, I'm the fatty.
Remember, I'm the fatty. Oh, God. Okay, that's fair. Now, Shar.
Yeah, I'm one to just ask questions. Why are you saying that? What's your purpose? You found that to be funny? For what reason? You're an adult. I mean, what are you making fun of this about? I mean, what is your purpose?
Okay, so let's
Do you
say
feel better about yourself? Oh, go ahead.
let's say with you, Shar, right? So the joke would be about like you yelling. Oh my God, Shar, stop yelling. Right? Like, they're obviously, you don't yell. Like, I've never heard you raise your voice ever. Right? Like, so it's so clearly not a true statement. Right? But like, let's say the reason why you are always so even, keeled with your speech is because, you had a bad habit of yelling, got you into a lot of hot water before. So it's still a really sore point. And you tried so hard to keep your voice even. And now this person just brought up all of that past trauma. Now they don't know it's trauma for you. It's clearly like when I'm like, oh God, stop yelling at me. Like, it's like, clearly you're not yelling. Like, clearly you're not, because you never yell, like, ever. Right? And I know you wouldn't actually be like upset or offended if someone said, but like, let's say they did. They're just teasing. They're poking fun just because people do, like, you do stuff like that,
Okay.
like awkward pause, like, or you ask them a question that made them feel awkward. So we make a joke before we answer to buy ourselves some time to get the answer for ourselves. Like, they weren't trying to hurt you. They literally, that's why you picked something so obviously not true.
Okay, and they weren't trying to hurt me, but it bothered me.
Yes.
Correct?
Yes.
Okay, and I don't know that, so it goes back to me asking, what's that all about? Because I'm not yelling. You haven't seen yelling. So what's the deal? And then they're like, oh, wait a minute, she seems offended. Well, I
Yeah.
didn't mean to offend you.
hmm
Okay, you didn't mean to offend me, but why did you do that? Why did you say that? And I would probably press if I'm angry. I would just press till I
hmm
get that answer.
hmm
And they would probably automatically apologize and like, oop, I ain't going down that road anymore.
Right.
Why
Well, no,
why is that so scary, right? You hear Char go, you haven't seen yet, right? And
I
that's
know, right? I was like, damn, Shar, it was just an example. I'm sorry, man. I'm sorry. I told you, Shar, we all live in fear and awe of you. I don't know why. It was just so scary.
But that's where I would go with it. I'm like, well, what's your problem? I mean, why would you say that? I would, and it probably, you're telling me that I'll be heated. So now I'm going to wrap it up because I'm trying to let you know, hey, I'm serious. I wasn't yelling. I don't know what your problem is. And I'm going to push that person to find out what their purpose was. And if it was to hurt me, then I know now I need to get away from you or
Right.
cut
But
you
like, if it
off or
wasn't,
whatever it is.
if it was clearly they were just joking, that's why they're apologizing. They really had no idea because you're just so even tempered all the time. Like, whereas in they're the ones who yell and raise their voices all the time. So like they were totally just joking. They're so sorry. They had no idea it was a sore spot. That's their response.
Yeah, and I would accept that apology because they didn't know. I will accept that. And I look for them not to do it again. Now, let's say they were to do it again, then I know that they did that on purpose. And
Right.
then I would probably depends on who they are, where they are, I would cut them off. And then when they ask me why, I would just tell them.
Oh,
Mm-hmm.
but see, one of the things I love about human beings is, right, you give them a sore spot of yours, and then they try to do that thing where they sneak it into a backhanded joke or backhanded compliment. Like, oh, well, let's use that fat example, right?
Hmm.
I'd say, hey, you call me fat again, it's gonna be me and you, or I'm gonna be the one stepping on your toes, right?
Mm-hmm.
Hmm.
And then they do it again, but they do it again when I don't do what they want me to do, right? Like it's gonna be something like, hey, could you give me a ride to this place? Nah, I ain't taking you in my vehicle. You ain't paying me for gas. Man, that's your. You see, I knew I shouldn't have asked your fat ass. Oh.
Uh-oh. Uh-oh.
Okay, okay.
And then you
That's true.
continue like you're right. You shouldn't have. And then that'd be the end of that.
Guess what? Guess who gets no more rides ever again from me?
Yep. Yep. Ever.
As a matter of fact, I'll see you walking on the side of the road, slow down, say hi, and drive past you.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Hey, wait. They're chasing your car. You just pretend you don't see them. The radio goes up loud. They can hear the music, and no, you just don't care. Yep. Mm-hmm.
My fat
See?
ass gonna stay in this vehicle. You can stay out there and walk.
No
But see,
right for you.
y'all are more like, okay, like the way what Shadra just said with the initial thing, kind of like, better not call me fat again, or else. No, listen. The way Ruby is, if you
Hmm.
hurt, disappoint, or offend me in any way, you're gonna know because the atmosphere changes immediately. The air gets cold up in here, and now it's a whole serious discussion. And I'll give it to you. I will give you a full breakdown of what my problem is with what you just said. I will tell you exactly,
Hmm.
not just what, like, why it bothers me, but I'll tell you exactly the feelings it makes me feel, like, I'm going to let you know in no uncertain terms. And then I'm going to let you know in no uncertain terms how, if it's brought up in any context, right? Because now I've given you a key to something. Now the second it comes out of your mouth again, that's it. Like, you will literally, like, you might as well just evaporate into thin air because you disappear in my head. Like, you're just gone now. I don't know you. Like, you're not standing there. I don't hear your voice anymore. You're gone.
Hmm.
Right? Because to me now that's disrespect. right? You can't hurt me anymore because you already hurt me once. And once you hurt me, like I just lock it all down. But if you're gonna disrespect me, no. Mm-mm. And that's disrespectful as hell because I gave you the respect to not just tell you, don't say that shit again. I gave you the respect of knowing why in very detailed detail. So you can't say you didn't really understand because I'm going to tell you about that childhood trauma and this and that and the therapy and the this and that. I'm going to tell you everything. So you can't claim you didn't know I was being really serious when I said never ever again. You can't. Right? So if you did it, you're disrespecting me. And now at that point, no, I don't deal well with disrespect. So that's just the end of that.
Yeah, that's not my friend either. You disrespect me.
Mm-hmm.
No to the no, no, no.
Right. And I guess, I mean, sorry, go ahead.
I'm just saying, well, see, if there was one thing that you know to never do to Miss Char Willie, it is to disrespect her.
Oh, no, never.
Yeah,
I'm terrified of Char. Like, I'm her co-host on 3 programs. I'm like terrified of her, legitimately. I would never disrespect her ever. Accidentally or intentionally. Just no.
No, I'm just talking about blatant disrespect. I mean, and a lot of those things are obvious. As human beings, I mean, we have to be courteous to each other. We got to have some level of courtesy. So,
right.
Don't just be cruel to people purposely. Like, I want my way, and this is what I'm going to do, and screw you. When you do that, that's just blatant disrespect. That isn't cool at all.
Right. Now, speaking of blatant disrespect, so I mean, and I don't know the whole 9, but my question is this, right? So let's say there's aspects of my life that are public record. Bringing it back to the top, there are aspects of my life that are public record, right? They've been covered by the news. Everybody knows, so it's fine, right? Like, it's not like you're being doxxed per se, right? Because it actually is public record. Is it disrespectful for, let's say, YouTuber, blogger, whatever, to bring that up when speaking about it? Is it disrespectful? Because it's already been covered by the news. They're not revealing new information necessarily. They're talking about something that everyone already knows.
And now, when it comes to that, and what I'll need a little bit more example, and the reason I say that is like content creator. What's my girl name? Let me see. I had thought I took a note of it. Lady Mocha had created a term, and the term is content chasers or something. I forgot what it is. She had it on her timeline, and she said, I created this term and I better get my respect or something like that. And I had gave her thumbs up and I laughed. And I said, that's right. I'm going to give you your respect. And I meant to bring it up. I actually had forgotten. But it's so far on my phone, I can't find it right now. But let's say I bring her up. And everybody knows that she created this term. Well, I'm just mentioning her in a way of just really just giving her credit for something that she's done. But if I was to bring her up and said, oh, she, what did she do? She, I don't know. She cut her husband when she had a fight last week. Now that's going in another direction. Why would I say something like that? That's her business between her and her spouse. So I'm being malicious if I do something like that. Now, are you meaning in that term what you were just speaking of as far as public record?
Well, yes. First, I went and looked it up. So, oh man, I forgot. I just looked at it. Okay, the definite, it's clout roaches. That's what the term is. Clout roaches. Mocha's terms are hilarious. Clout roaches.
Okay.
So, okay, yeah, basically like that, except for one difference, is that last week after she cut her husband, it was publicized in the news. So the news media already made this a public story.
Mm-hmm.
So now when I bring her up and I add the fact that she cut her husband last week, I'm not exposing new information. I'm just recounting information the news already knew.
Well, I view that as straight up disrespect, because why you have other people's names in your mouth anyway? See, the problem with us as people, we tend to talk too much.
Yeah. Well, what would be the purpose of that, of talking about that happen? You know,
Well,
Yeah,
literally, I'm
let
talking about Charlemagne, right? So that's his job. His job is people call in and they mention stuff that they want to mention, right? And then he responds to it. So I mean, and which is in essence what happened, right? With Kwame Brown is someone brought him up,
mm-hmm.
and then Charlemagne went on his little diatribe. Now there are some parts of what he said that I feel like he didn't need. Like he was talking about now his personal experience and his father's personal experience of knowing the family individually and what. Okay, that's going too far because now you're exposing information that no one knew. But if he had just brought up what was already covered in the news, what was already known to be true in the news about the man's family,
Why you got people's name in your mouth?
because that's his job.
No,
That's
no, no,
literally
no,
his
no, no,
job.
no. Even if it is your job, right? My belief is that there are ways to avoid. If somebody calls in and says, "Hey, Ruby and her husband had a fight yesterday," let's use that example, right?
Mm-hmm.
And oh, I was not aware of that. That's all I gotta say. I ain't gotta say anything about you, do I?
But it's not your job. No, because that's it. See, I'm not going to criticize these celebrity news outlets for doing their job inherently because it's what they do. Kwame Brown brings up people's names all the time because it's now like as the YouTuber, that's part of his job. You talk about popular people. You talk about celebrities. You talk about what the hell they're doing. In this case, the Kwame Brown beef with what's his face was a big story. Everyone was talking about it. It wasn't just him. He didn't bring it up out of the blue, right? Like this is
That's
a
true.
big, yeah, right? So everyone's talking about this. You are a celebrity, and celebrity media outlets, including people who are building themselves into big names, talk about these stars all the time, right? So that in and of itself, talking about the star, I mean, unless we're going to literally shut down all celebrity news outlets, which is never going to happen, that's
I think
part
it's
of
a
your
waste
job.
of time, personally. Celebrity news. Why are we focusing on these people in Hollywood who make much more money than we ever will see in an entire lifetime? Yeah, no.
True.
What does this person who acts in this movie does this? That has no bearing on my life, because at the end of the day, I still got to get up and go to work, right?
That is very true. But
So why am I in their business?
the large majority disagree with you, which is why there's so
This
many
is
of
why
these.
I'm in the a-hole corner.
But okay, given that the fact of the matter is it's his job, right? So beyond the point of whether you see utility in it, I don't see much utility in it either, right? Which is why I stopped following Lovely T. When she also did the news, I was down for it. When she dropped the news and only did celebrity stuff, for the most part, 90% of the stuff she makes now I don't watch because I don't care.
Mm-hmm.
But the point still stands that is a valid way of making money in a valid like form of news. So given the fact that okay, they talk about people, this is what they do. They talk about stars. Is it disrespectful to bring up stuff about, because I think it's disrespectful to bring up stuff about people's family generally, right? But if it already was in the news, is it disrespectful? That's my question in essence.
If it's in the news, then more likely still, because it can't go too far. The news doesn't, stop, especially when it comes down to us.
Mm-hmm.
So I would just say it'd be good not to do so, and it is disrespectful. And if you want to get in the mud like that, then your consequences are your consequences.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I mean, that's what I think too. Your consequences are your consequences. On one side, I say, hey, listen, Charlemagne says he has his own personal knowledge of these people and that family and whatever. And based on that knowledge, he's saying leave the family alone. He didn't think it through, because if you have knowledge about this family, that says you should leave them the hell alone. Beyond just what the news stories are, because that's the only thing you elaborated on, but you kept implying that there's way more that you and your daddy and whatever know, right? Then you should have known to leave all of that alone too. So one way or the other, do I think you can talk about your own personal experiences? Sure, those are his experiences with this family. But your consequences, the consequences you get from talking about people you say from your own mouth are dangerous, are your consequences. And you made an educated decision based on that. So, I mean,
Yeah.
I don't know if I think it's disrespectful. I think it was pretty stupid of him to do. But yeah.
All disrespect is stupid, because there are always consequences that people don't want to deal with.
True.
Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
Well, thank you guys for tuning in tonight. I appreciate it. And tomorrow is our article reaction. However, it will be replaced with the first panel for women speaking of encounters with police. So check that out tomorrow at 6:30 p.m. Central Standard Time, same time as the regular article reaction. And let's see, thank you for those who contributed to the channel. The conversation, I'll get you later, Teasy. I got my eye on you. DeAndre, I want my 45 degrees back, please. Thank you. And everyone, hey, DJ Snoopy, missed you and look forward to hearing more from you. And you guys tune in, as I said, for tomorrow. Should be a good show. If you haven't seen the men show, do check that out. I think it was a good panel. It's the beginning of something great.
Yeah.
And I think that everyone that can join in when we have the open panel, please do. And that is it for now. So you guys have a great night, and I'll see you tomorrow, 6:30 p.m. Central Standard Time. And until then, peace.
Cheers, y'all.
Hey, folks, it's your nighttime, it's your right time DJ Music. Make sure you join Char Willie each and every Saturday, 7:30 Eastern, 6:30 Central, for Article Reaction, right here on your local YouTube channel. Don't forget, like, share, subscribe to Article Reaction.